Hello, Horror Hounds, and once again, a big thank you to everyone who took part in our little Choose My Reviews experiment. It was a three-way tie at the top. As I explained in my update video, I'm taking The Innocents and The Changeling, which proved hugely popular, and I'm setting them to one side because some of you want me to do a specific haunted house theme later on, leaving the third tie spot going to The Dentist and The Dentist 2, which I'm going to smush together in a bundle review for you. Oh God, I'm going to go there. Let's drill down into The Dentist and The Dentist 2. That was shameless. Now, before I get all highfalutin and above my station and start talking about things like themes and subtext and stuff like that, it's worth underlining right at the start that these are unashamedly B movies. Yes, essentially they are about a dentist who goes nuts and then uses the tools of his trade to torture and kill people. Yes, there are insane shots from inside the mouth and extreme close-ups using huge mouth models of dental implements going down into the nerve and drills destroying teeth and cutting gums and cutting tongues and all of that kind of mad stuff. Shots that Dario Argento would have lost his mind over, would have loved to have come up with conceits like that. And absolutely, it unashamedly plays on people's fear of going to the dentist. And why not? When you strip it all away and ultimately think about it, it's by mutual consent in a very clinical and clean environment. You are playing out the power dynamic of a torturer and their subject, their victim. The only difference being you're not actually strapped down to the chair, you've gone and sat in it of your own free will. All of the implements, whilst someone is poking around inside your head, in the wrong hands or with the wrong intention, can be used to inflict enormous pain. Oh, tons of close-ups of injections as well, which is really one of my personal squicks. I think it's also worth noting that both films, especially the first one, is just set in the normal world. Bright LA sunshine in the first one, you know, the clean, white, clinical interior of the clinic in the first one, the bright lighting there. There's no shadows, there's no cobwebs. This is everyday places and everyday experiences. We've all gone to the dentist. We all understand that, and we all put our trust in the man or woman that's leaning over us with the face mask and the little metal spike and the drill and the scraper. And I think part of what makes this film so effective as a little B-movie shocker, really is a good word for it, is that it's where it is and the scenarios that it presents are so understandable, so relatable for large portions of both of these films. It seems a little like a movie of the week. You know, those and not in a bad way, in a good way. I don't mean in production values, but you know those true life movies that you get constantly on some channels. They're sort of based vaguely on real life events. They kind of have a vibe like that because it's not it's an everyday experience that people come to the dentist and the dentist sees them, and you get his home life and his growing sort of madness. But it could be your dentist, or it could be happening in the dental clinic down the road. You don't know what's going on in people's private lives that just might make them snap. And obviously there are some professions where if you snap, you've got an authority to you. You've got a power to you. And one of the sort of underlying horrors, especially of the first movie, The Dentist, is what I'd call the horror and the power. The horror comes from the fact that because he's a doctor, because he's a rich white man, and because he's got a white coat on, the aberrant behaviour that he starts displaying when he starts to slip, that probably wouldn't slide in many other scenarios and positions and roles in life, because he's in a position of authority, he gets away with it. There's a horribly realistic scene of a sexual assault, which he perpetrates on one of his patients. That you can just, I mean, you all know the urban legends of waking up and finding that you're from the dentist and your underwear's on the wrong way round and stuff like that. It's preying on those fears again, those sort of urban legends. But this kind of behaviour does happen. It does take place. People are assaulted. People are sexually assaulted, and it's kind of all too plausible. And we do know that we let people in authority get away with more. What are they called? The Milgram experiment, where you get someone pretending to be in a position of authority, tells the volunteers to hit the button, even though they know it's going to shock and cause pain to someone else, and they do it just because it's someone who is in a perceived position of authority telling them to do it. I think it's very telling, and I think it's very good of the film that his subordinates, his staff that he bullies and railroads, and some of them he eventually kills, are women. I think there's no getting away the gender dynamic and that is tied up with the power dynamic in this. It's a lot more on point in the first film. I will say that. It's by the time you get to The Dentist 2, which moves from the big city to a small sort of country practice and sort of small town life, which is a nice different vibe for the second movie. But by the time you get here, this film, it's a little crueler. It's a little more mean-spirited. I think he's Corbin Bernsen's character, Dr. Feinstein, by this point is very clearly much more misogynistic. I don't know if that's the point. It's more uncomfortable what he does to women. He's in a burgeoning new relationship in this, which he very clearly controls and manipulates. And again, that's a scenario that's uncomfortably all too real and does happen. And he intimidates and manipulates, and she finds herself in a position where she's having to apologise for things that she's done, which aren't even, there's nothing wrong with what she's done. And it does culminate in an extended scene of torture against a female character called Bev, where he plays a game. He interrogates her and plays a game that he calls Truth or Tooth. So you can imagine what that involves, which I think where this one walks the tightrope a lot better. It doesn't descend into sort of reveling in the kind of behaviour that it's commenting on, whereas particularly the torture scene in this, I think it does fall down on that other side. I mean, there's a similar commentary going on in this, but I think in that scene it also feels, rather than being a commentary, it's moved over into, right now we need our big gore scene, and it is a man torturing a woman, and it's because of the subtext of both the movies, us now being asked to watch that as the big set piece of the movie. The reason we watch these horror movies moves us into much more of an uncomfortable position as a viewer. Me, certainly. Clearly, Corbin Bernsen, the star of both of these, and I think he becomes producer on the second one, is the MVP of both the movies. He goes all out. I love it when a well-known actor, even if their stars sort of on the wane, you know, they're not as prominent as they were. LA Law had been and gone. I love it when well-known name actors give everything in small and B movies, schlocky stuff. I hate it as a obviously, I'm preaching to the choir here, but as a fan of genre films, where actors get all sniffy and snobby about it, when they go in full-blooded with great gusto to give everything they can, they get a standing ovation from me. And you will see Corbin Bernsen committing to this role of Alan Feinstein. Absolutely 100%. He fucking goes there. And what you do when you get a great actor like that committing to a B movie role is he gives it something. Feinstein could have become, but is not a pantomime villain. I'll tell you what popped into my head. In some bizarre alternate world where the Batman franchise went in a completely different direction, Corbin Bernsen would have made an excellent Two-Face, not a Joker. Everyone goes to the Joker for the crazy out there villains. I was just watching him with the interplay between his mad personality smearing the blood on his face, and then the one that can operate in normal society, sort of at war with it, trying to take back over so that he can wash the blood off and go and answer the door. And there was some of the madness of Harvey Dent in there, some of the duality there, and I tell you what, he would have fucking smashed it. A third film was greenlit, but didn't happen. Brian Usner, the director, went off to develop something else, and it just never got any traction. I'm not entirely sure where you would go with a third dentist movie. Already some of the scenarios in the second film were not do-overs of the first film, but ultimately you need to get people in a dentist's seat with him over them with dental implements. There's only so many ways you can go through that. Off the top of my head, if they'd have put me in charge, if they'd have given me the keys of the kingdom and said develop a third dentist movie, I wouldn't have had him move abroad or move to a new town and set up a new practice. Do you know what I'd have had him do? I'd have had him get a job as a prison dentist and set it inside a prison. So I really hope you guys enjoyed that. I'm enjoying this. I think it's going to be fun doing the movies that you picked. Just to let you know, I should have done this at the top of the video, sorry. The Dentist 1 and 2 was chosen by The Horror Appraisal, Jamie O'Rourke, Joshua 2814, Randy Mole and Alex Emthal. Next up is another doubleheader, and it's going to be Maniac Cop 1 and 2. So join me for that, and don't forget to floss.